You know, where the inspiration comes from.
Well, you know, I had malaria 3 weeks ago.
Let me see if I can remember how that sounded.
It really is, I know.
Well, say something else.
All right, so where did you discover the pastime voice stuff?
Well, I've never really thought of myself as a voice actor, see, so it's kind of one of those weird things that I stumbled into totally by accident. Because I was in the music business first, and so I was a singer in shows and doing musical stuff, and I guess when I was really training, it was really sad. I've done opera as well, Don Giovanni, and Leporello, Don Giovanni, and sang Figaro. So I guess I've got a voice of about 2.5 octaves when I'm singing, when I'm warmed up. And I think out of that comes the squeaky noises that you're trying to do when you're doing a show, 8 shows a week. And so the lyrical delivery, the timbre of the voice, the pacing of the voice, the breathing and everything, I already had from the musical side of it. And I stumbled by accident into a Transformers thing simply because they wanted an actor on the set to interact with all the actors that were doing down with the robots, because obviously I know this is going to come as a shock, but the robots aren't actually good. I know it looks like they are. Stop it. But it's actually...
There are children here, shut up!
And so, step one, we did build an Optimus, but he was 2 tons and took too long to move around the set. And so I ended up...
So he basically was like working with Stallone.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I don't say that to his face, eh?
Oh!
Somebody here probably recording this right now.
He doesn't know how to work the internet, so don't worry about it.
So that's how I got into it. I was doing the voices on the set, and they came to me and wanted to record some stuff for the first film. They ended up keeping it Bumblebee. I did some alien language stuff, talking gibberish and alien language, and all kinds of stuff. And so that's how I ended up doing it. And it was more of a technical job because of what was going on the set with the cameras and the way that Michael works so fast. He likes to pick up a camera and go run over here and go, come on. So it was more about understanding behind the camera and the technicalities of that, and what he's trying to achieve with the actors, the ILM guys, the CGI guys, rather than being voice, specific. And it came about through that. So I've been very lucky that they've kept me on and kept me involved with the whole thing for the last, now been on for 8 years. So it's crazy. Crazy.
I'm still traumatized that you said there's no robots.
Aww.
I'm going to say there's no Santa Claus too, aren't you?
Santa's a robot.
I've been doing stupid voices since I was a little kid, and I had this range since I was about 13. And I wasn't much of a fighter, I wasn't much of an athlete, so the one thing I could do is when I saw the bullies running down the hall when they shouldn't have been, I would say, "Boy, get your class!" And they turn around and look, and I just snicker and walk away and crap at them. So it started with that, and then later on, as a young adult, when I got an answering machine where they used to have a tape in the machine. This is a cassette tape for you kids. You probably never seen one, right?
What's a cassette tape, Uncle Steve?
I used to just make these really stupid recordings for the outgoing message, and the first one that I did was as Goofy, and I just went, "Orders, thanks for calling, leave a message," and I got a wrong number, and from that wrong number, the guy's laughing on the end of the phone, and he goes, "You gotta hear this, man." He hangs up and he hits redial, and another guy does it, and then like 10 guys in a row call my house and listen to the message. And they start calling every week. They start telling all their friends, and there were probably 30 or 40 people that would call me throughout the week listening to the message. And then they got mad that I didn't change it, so I started changing it. The next week I did or something else. And so I started changing the message every week, and then I started developing a little repertoire. Didn't realize I was going to use that until much later on. I was in a completely other career, and I was working in a mailroom for a low-budget film company. And the guy who was heading the mailroom was casting a Japanimation thing called the Guyver, and he needed a deep voice for a creature, and I had the deepest voice in the mailroom. That's literally how I got the job. I went auditioned for it and did something like, and they hired me for 26 episodes. did that, and then started speaking in human voices, and never stopped. I just never stopped. So I learned by stealing from guys like this. And have the classical training. Yeah.
Is that on your resume, deepest voice in the mailroom?
It should be. It should be.
It used to be, but there's no room anymore.
Yeah, now it's
So James.
things on it.
I'll be quick. I started in theater. That was I was just sort of gravitated toward that. I enjoyed being on stage, and my training is stage. I went to Center College in Danville, Kentucky, because I'm from Louisville. I was born and raised just over by Churchill Downs. And of course, you grow up hearing this accent around here, don't you? And I specialize in Southern characters sometimes. But yeah, I enjoy playing different kinds of characters, and I think going to Center too, I heard the professors in that school are from everywhere else, so I lost my Southern accent pretty fast there. And then I went to the University of Iowa. I did an MFA in acting there, and continued doing stage work. I only got into voiceover about 20 years ago, just because everything fell off in the on-camera world. But I sort of gravitated to it. People told me I had a good voice for years, and I just said, yeah, that's something you do when you retire. Right, Steve? Right. Yeah, right. When you're not the deepest voice in the mailroom anymore. But then I sort of, games have naturally been a sort of a genre I've fallen into. I have a good ear. I'm a good mimic. If I hear an accent or a certain kind of voice, I've done, like I did Sam Elliott's voice in the Golden Compass game. I've imitated certain people over the years, and that's kind of where I am.
Now, let me ask you guys something real quick along those lines, because I've noticed as I sit on panels with people, all you guys have live performing and music experience in your backgrounds?
Yeah. Well, I've done a few musicals, like a handful of musicals.
But I mean, you do have a little bit of musical training, because what I'm finding is a lot of the voice actors, of our age and the guys who were there before us, have a lot of live performance background and a lot of music. And Rob Paulson explains it as because you have an idea of rhythms and tone, and it just...
The timing is important.
Exactly. I was going to say timing, but
he cut you off.
Yeah.
Timing.
We did a press thing for Revenge of the Fallen. There was Reno Wilson, there was Jess Arnell, there was Venus that had done voices on that. And we went down the line, and every one of the people on the desk, I just happened to be at the end of the line that way, everybody on the desk had either been in live music, live musical theatre, was a player, would have been in a band or something. Everybody, particularly Jess, who's a brilliant singer, brilliant musician, everybody had been involved with that. And I think it's exactly what you just said. It's to do with timing, rhythm, pacing, understanding the tone, be able to hear the tonal places. And just so you know, this is very important, before you leave this hall today, we're going to be having a collection at the back of the room, and the only way you'll be able to leave the room is because you're going to have to donate. Because what we're doing, we're raising money so that Steve can have a vacation, so that somebody else in the voiceover world can get.
So we can get him out of town.
So one of us can work because Steve does every voice in the universe.
But at least he's a good guy. Come on.
Well, it's not about
He's in the Guinness Book of Records. You are in the Guinness Book of Records. What are you in the Guinness Book of Records for?
For most farts in an elevator.
I guarantee you that's only because they counted that time.
It's hard to verify that too.
But these people want to know.
No, it was most prolific voice actor in video games. I've done over 300 video games.
In other words, if we had residuals, this would be Steve's bathroom.
If only.
Yeah, I know. I keep dreaming.
Yeah.
So no residuals on any of the videos?
No.
Jordan, you go ahead and voice something in, say, $1 billion video game. Maybe you get invited to the convention, right? See?
Oh.
Maybe.
Yes, James, you stole my thunder because I was going to tell everybody you're from here in Louisville.
Well,
But when you get a part, how do you decide how you're going to speak that part? How do you, they give you or whatever.
Well, you know, it depends how you get it. You know, there are occasions when they'll hire you because they know you and they know your work and they want to develop it with you. Like I'm working on this sci-fi series where I'm going to be the voice of the ship's computer. And the director and I are working on how masculine do we want it, but usually, more often than not, we audition. And so when we get hired to do what we did in the audition. So they'll play that back, and then every now and then, I mean, more often than not, you'll tweak it while you're in session, but, you know, and how do we come up with those when we audition? I guess it's different for every actor. It's how we individually break down the copy and how they filter through who we are.
We're usually given a character breakdown of what they're looking for. You know, they'll give like references like Keith Sutherland or Clint Eastwood, you know, as a guy, just in that ballpark. So they know sort of what they want it to sound like, and then you bring your own sort of feel to that.
Right. And if we're lucky, we get a picture of the character too. If it's an animated character, we'll get a picture, and sometimes you can tell by body type what your initial instinct is going to be. Sometimes they play completely against that, so you have to give them a few different choices. So I'll usually give them 2 or 3 different versions of the character. But quite often when we go in for a session, we have to do multiple characters. It's required, especially in video games. You have to do at least 3 characters, and on original animation, that sort of thing. So quite often we go in thinking we're going to do 1 character. They'll give us 2 more characters. On some games I've done as many as 23 characters. And I had no idea what I was doing until I walked into that booth, and they dropped the paper in front of you, and they said, okay, now you're 75 years old and you've got 3 heads, go. Now you're a little girl, go. Now you're a monster with tentacles coming out of your throat, go. And now do that in a Chinese accent. And you've got to be able to just pick it up and change that quickly. And that's the tough part that a lot of new voice actors don't know when they're going in. They think, okay, I've got 20 voices I can do this now. It's not true. You've got to really be able to broaden that spectrum just in case.
And can I throw something out there really quickly? We use shorthand when we're talking. We say voices. I guarantee you, these 3 men to my right don't do voices. They play characters. And there's a huge difference. So we talk in shorthand. When we say voices, we don't mean voices. We mean characters. Okay? Even when Steve did that deep-throated thing that he first booked, he didn't just do a sound. He gave you that whole bit of energy. You could close your eyes and totally envision what he was doing, you know? And that's, because we've been doing it for so long, would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Well, and especially in video games, we're doing what they call sound sets, where we have fighting scenes, and so say we're supposed to take a punch, or give a punch, or kick, or take a bullet, or take a sword hit. It's going to sound different when you take a punch to the stomach, or to the throat, or to the head. And you've got to cover all those different things, and that is part of creating that character. Okay, now you're being electrocuted. That's going to sound different from getting throttled by the throat. So you have to be able to make that distinction in your head.
Or then you're working with Chris Zimmerman, and she says, you're being throttled by the throat and poked in the right eye.
Yeah, and she'll actually do the actions in the booth.
Oh yeah, and it should be very specific. You know, it's like you're getting punched in the kidney while you're being bent over and kneecapped.
Yes, and no, 3 inches over, that's your liver. Try the kidney. Not going to sound different. It will, though. It actually sounds different. It's a different place on the body. So, yeah, that's all part of the character development.
All right, I have a couple more, I think.
Hey!
And I lost you for just raising your hand, because otherwise I'll ask my next question.
All right. On average, how long does it take in a recording session? Like, for example, with Transformers Prime, I know that everybody had to be in the studio and there was a U formation. How long would a actual recording session last?
Depends on how badly we behave.
With these guys, it was very bad to me.
They're not kidding.
Yeah, if Kevin Michael Richardson's in the room, it could be twice as long. He's so funny, everybody's peeing themselves laughing.
And Frank Welker as
Frank
well,
Welker, yeah.
the Megatron. He's a big...
Yeah, we're booked for 4 hours on those sessions, and hopefully we can get 1 episode done in 4 hours, but that's the standard.
Yeah, doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Where can we find blooper reels on that?
Yeah. Trust me, if we kept the blooper reels from when Steve and I did Robots in Disguise, because I used to get very creative.
We'd have a whole other show, I think.
I think so. Well, because
something.
I like to let it be perfectly known by the booth that I just messed up. So it'll be like, Autobots transform, and oh, Felker, For those of you who remember the old Battlestar Galactica.
Favorite character that you've done and favorite character that you'd like to do. And Neil, I'd love to hear the Optimus again from the blooper reel.
Oh, well, sure. I basically used to like to try to make the people in the booth laugh. So every now and then, I'd stare at Optimus, and Optimus, that's right, that's what we should do. So yeah, I started doing that sort of thing, and it came to the point where Mike McConaughey would say, "Put the moose away." But it just went, "Put the moose away." But it was just gonna, "Put the moose away." Yeah, that was my favorite character has to be Tychus Finley, because he's an anti-hero. You know, so you get all those wonderful flavors of villainy, and then you get those wonderful flavors of heroism, and with Tychus you also get those wonderful flavors of bourbon.
Appropriate for you. Obviously, Bumblebee is a world favourite, and although he only got to speak a couple of lines in the first film, I did the voice for the ride, the Universal ride, and for the game, and various other things. And so I guess I'm forever associated with Bumblebee. Wherever I go in the world, there isn't anybody that doesn't like the character. That's one of the miracles of, I guess, of the CGI in these films. They've made both Optimus and Bumblebee real characters that people, feel about and get to react with. So it's great. I like this guy. I like the new one, Lockdown. I like him because of the ambivalence and the immoral nature of his character and what he does. I think that the fact that he's neither a Decepticon nor an Autobot gives him a slightly different feel because of the history, where he's coming from with the ship and his role in their history. It's an interesting character, and I enjoyed playing it. That was literally popped into my head as I was sitting, waiting to go on the set, because we were blown up Detroit, and then we went and blew up Chicago. We were blown up lots of places, and I was really sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I've done all these different voices on the set, and I suddenly heard a mixture of Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, and the character of Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, and the quiet, something very disturbing about somebody who speaks quietly, like an adult is talking to a child. And I was very lucky on the set because I was actually running at the side of the Cayenne camera car, looking at the monitor with Michael running next to me, because we were driving across the set, and we were running across the set, and I had wired under me. And Peter, the sound guy, had the mic right in my mouth like I just did there, and he wired up these big speakers. So as I was speaking very quietly, it actually sounded like this, and it echoed around the whole thing, and all the crew were like going, "What is that?" It sounded massive, even though I was speaking very quietly. And I just looked at Michael and looked at me and that's about as good as it gets.
Wow. Favorite character is hard for me to choose because I have so many voices in my head, and if I speak one out, the other ones start fighting in there, and I just explode in a spray of red mist. Favorite character for me is what I'm working on this week, because it means I'm still employed partially. And I'm also, I like to invest myself fully into characters, and the new ones, even if it's Soldier A, which I'll probably be playing on Monday on some video game, I have to put as much into that character as any other character, and otherwise I don't feel like I'm giving an authentic performance. Lately it's been Zebarelios from Star Wars Rebels, and I'm excited because I'm a Star Wars fan, and just to get to work as part of that franchise, and he's a new species to enter the Star Wars franchise. I'm very excited about that. Very, very, very excited about that, yeah. And thank you. I didn't make Star Wars. But, there's certain characters that have been pivotal in my career. Wolverine, because I was a comic book fan. And Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, just because that character led to so many other things. So he holds kind of a special place in my heart.
Can I tell them the secret, Steve?
What? I'm not wearing underwear? Oh, that wasn't what you were going to say.
I actually got to do an episode of Robot Chicken.
Oh.
And I got to play Wolverine. So during my little scene, because as wonderful as Hugh Jackman may be in the movies, vocally, very nondescript. So remember, impersonation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I kind of channeled my best manly Steve Blum. And so when it's on this fall, hopefully you'll watch it and know that I did that with love and respect.
I won't hold it against you, Bob.
I wish you would.
Sorry, Mom and Dad. Sorry.
It was a great moment not only to be asked to do the show, but also because I very distinctly, I wanted to respect my friend and give his version. So when it's on the air, I hope you know.
I'm thrilled that you got the gig, dude. I'm happy for you. It's all good. That's the one thing that's really great about the voiceover community, too, is that we don't kill each other for jobs. We actually support each other. And if I had known that this was coming up, I probably would have referred him anyway. You know, I mean, honestly, we do that for each other, even if we're ever the same role. I also got to play Dumbledore.
Well, my favorite role, I suppose, was I was the voice of Scar for Disney character voices for a while. I got to do Kingdom Hearts. I did Scar in Kingdom Hearts, and also for the theme parks a couple of times.
Could you give us a flavor, please?
Nemesis Grave, this never played for a young kid. Yeah, what I want to do, well, I enjoy doing Wheeljack too. That's a lot of fun. I'd love to continue doing that for a few more years. What I want to do, I want to continue working. But yeah, I mean, they're right. The voiceover world is just so much less ego involved than on camera, and that's what I love about it. You know, we do get along so well. Nobody's killing each other. No, it's never about what you look like. It's just about what you sound like. So, and the joy is in creating characters like they've been saying. And also, I don't know. I have theatrical things I want to do too. Like I said, my background stage. I still want to play Cyrano on stage. There's a musical of Cyrano actually. I'd like to get off the ground sometime into these guys to finance it. But a few years ago, I got to do Atticus and To Kill a Mockingbird on a little studio in Hollywood, and that was a great experience. But and it's hard to get Gregory Peck out of your head, let me tell you, when you're trying to do that character. But it was fun, so there I am.
Plus, you were the 5-hour energy man.
I was. I was a 5-hour energy sheriff. You remember that commercial, on-camera commercial? I was a cowboy.
Oh my God.
5-hour energy.
So many of those because of you.
James, did you find when you were doing a lot of stage work that your characters there would be a vocal bent to what you were doing?
Well, it's always like Anthony Hopkins. You reference him. He always says he gets the character voice in his head. That gives him the character that he's going to play, on stage or film. But yeah, it's always about finding the voice. Even doing Atticus, for instance, because I'd seen the movie 8 times, I'd never seen it on stage before. But one reviewer said was very nice. He said that I paid tribute to Peck and yet made the part my own, because you can't say those words without everybody thinking of Gregory Peck, because he's an icon.
It's like the same script also, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the same words, especially the courtroom stuff, where but it's just, it was just a beautiful, such a warm, loving character to play. And then I'm a father of an 8-year-old, which is fairly recent for me because he's my only child.
Well, plus he used to be 7.
I used to be 7, right? But I had a kid when I was playing Atticus, which, Atticus, of course, has his scout. But anyway, that's, it's always about getting the voice in your head and letting the character emerge.
On a quick note about paying homages to other people and friends that we know and we work with, when we did the second film, I did a show called Roman Show many years ago, and I have a very close friend called Ray Winston, that you may know from Beowulf and Departed, and he's done a lot of films, and so everybody likes to do Ray Winston, everybody.
Right.
And so when I was in the studio doing the Jetfire, Michael looked at me one day and he went, "Who is that?" And I said, "That's Ray Winston, it's my mate Ray." He said, "Do you like that?" He said, yeah, do it, we'll just keep doing it more. So we did it some more, and they kept it in the film. So Ray was sitting at home in the UK watching the film, and then he realised, and he called me and went, "Marky, you cheeky bugger." He said, "I've been gangsters, I've been Beowulf, I've been to Kingdom Skulls and all that, and now I'm a giant alien robot, you cheeky bugger! So that's how it came about, and on a little note, this is absolutely true. On the fourth film, Mark Wahlberg is on the set, and he's looking at me chatting away, and I don't like having the conversation. I said, you work with the Palomar? I said, you work with Ray? And he went, Ray Winston? He said, yeah, everybody tries to do Ray Winston. So we're on the set with Mark Wahlberg doing the best impersonation of Ray Winston I've ever heard. So it's funny how everybody pays, listens, takes in these voices, absorbs them, stores them away, and then they come out somewhere else.
Yeah, go around here.
So this is my second question, pausing it a little bit. One of the big, I don't know if it's controversy, maybe more of a movement, is Andy Serkis for Best Actor for the work he did in Planet of the Apes. And you guys keep mentioning, like voice actor, you're playing characters. I was kind of wanting to know your perspective on, why not a voice actor for Best Oscar? I know it's typically a theatrical.
Well, first things first. I think that the Emmys, which has an award for Best Voice Acting, needs to have a Best Voice Actor and a Best Voice Actress. Because there are so many different animated things that are on TV now that to whittle it down to just 5 performances isn't really fair. With all due respect to Andy Serkis and what he does, performance capture is a completely different situation than voiceover work. And that's not to say that I think Andy Serkis is brilliant, and I'd love to see him get nominated for some of his work. I think there are enough animated films that would be nice to have, 3 nominations, 5 nominations for that. The best thing to do is just get on the internet, start writing letters, make it happen. They used to only give away 3 awards at the Oscars, and that was it. Now it's like 97 or whatever. I think there's enough good work that I think it should be,
Agreed. Yes.
Gotta go over it.
All right, Steve, I'm going to ask you a favor, because with talking about the answering machine stuff, I have always wanted Lurch on my answering machine, and I still have an old school answering machine. So if you could do, you rang, like that, how Lurch did, would you do that for me and let me record it?
Sure. You want all of us to do it?
Yeah, do it.
No, just you do it.
You run.
I love you.
See, my favorite thing that Ted Cassidy used to do was just to laugh. Or the uncomfortable thing where he just shake his head.
Oh, yeah, you should have done. No, I think it was.
See, I'm referring to work you now.
Stop it.
And go.
Right. Why is he referring it? Because it's a freebie.
Wow. I've done this one for a few pals.
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm not here to answer your phone call right now. But if you'd like to leave a message, you may do so, but I don't really give a...
I want that on my machine.
You got time for a couple more questions? I see we got a
Klingon
over here.
Yes.
By the way, I'm going to tell a really quick story. Since the Klingon's getting up, I was working on a video game called Old Republic for Star Wars, and I came in, and there's this script, and it was all written in Huttese. Not in English, Huttese. And I started reading, and I would mess it up. And the director, as a way of calming me down, said, Neil, don't worry about it. It's not Star Trek. and I, as a nerd, understood what he was saying. That translates into there is an actual Klingon language, and if you mispronounce things, the Star Trek fans will know. Star Wars, we don't create languages, we just write stuff, and so just go with it. So,
I love all you guys' work. In the movie, did both of them have a lot of ad-lib, or was it off script?
The line that we used in the first was actually a line that I did for during the course of the post-production. I usually lay down all the guide tracks for all the actors, all the voice guys that come in, and then we raise that. It's called a scratch track. And so we were also I usually throw in lines, military lines, operator lines, helicopter pilot lines. Michael just say, can you do this or do that? He gets thrown in, and one day he said to me, can you just say these lines? And I knew in the script that Bumblebee did not speak in the script version that I had. He never spoke. So this is a true story. And so I did the lines, Commissioner speaks, and we just threw them away. And they called me after the film was nearing completion. And my agent called me and said, they want to use those Bumblebee lines that you did. I said, I didn't do any Bumblebee lines. And he doesn't speak. And they said, well, apparently you did, and they wanted to use them. I said, no, you tell them, they must be mistaken. I didn't do it, right? I didn't do any more. And so, agent calls back, they went, no, you did. You did some Bumblebee lines. We'd like you to take the money, please. What, can you just sign the contract? And I was like, I honestly don't remember. So they called me from the studio and played it to me down the phone. Went, this is you, right? I went, yeah, that's me. And they said, we want to, yeah, no, I know. And I said, yeah, that's me. They said, we want to use it, so we're going to send a SAG contract to you, and that's what's going to happen.
Well, if that happens again, send the money our way.
So that's how it came about. Again, it was completely one of those things you just stumble into. It seems to be the nature of my career.
Now, but was the line written, or did you guys...
No, it was written. It was written in Michael's studio, and he would often just like jot things down and go, say this or say that. That happened a lot. And then the second one with Jet finally got to the point where the screenwriters are in the room, so they went, you just say this much better than we can write it, just ad-lib it. So they'd give me literally, and I would just make stuff up and say stuff, and a lot of the lines that, for instance, the word bollocks, I'm the only man that's ever got the word bollocks into the Transformers lexicon. Because they didn't know what it meant. Say something, it's absolutely true. They said to say something, so I went, oh, bollocks, and he fires a missile off. And so there's like a rummaging in the control room, and Michael looked at me and he went, what does that mean? Is that swearing? I said, no! What is it? I said, it's a 17th century dagger for rapier and dagger fighting style, right? And there is a thing called a bollocks dagger. This is absolutely true. It just came out of my head. So we heard them rumbling about in the control room, and suddenly a voice came and said, no, he's right, it's a dagger. Well, by the time they came to do the TV version of it, somebody obviously worked out that bollocks was something else, right? So we get a phone call, you've got to come in and replace this line with bollocks in it, okay? So I went, okay, so I go down there to replace it, and there they are again, also in the writers are going, we can't think of anything to say, what else can you say? I went, what about cobblers? I went, what's cobblers? I said, well, my mum would say it, and I said, well, what does it mean? He said, sort of the same thing as bollocks, it's just not quite as, well, my mum would say cobblers, she'd have to load all cobblers. So they exchanged in the TV version of Revenge of the Fallen the word bollocks for the word cobblers. And they paid me to do it!
I think we're at almost time, but I think we maybe have one more question here. Do you have it?
Oh, and then Luigi had one.
Oh, where's Luigi? Okay, we'll go Luigi. Okay, Luigi first.
So, what are your thoughts on the movies getting all these bad reviews, and also what are your thoughts on the new Transformers cartoon that's coming out next spring?
I am so glad you asked me that question. Is anybody recording this? Because I don't mind if it goes down on the record. Let me tell you, I think that anybody that's an online film critic, before they're allowed to have their junior film critic badge, they should actually try making a film themselves. And then I like to go and view it and laugh at their movie. Right? Because I honestly, sometimes I go and I go, what film did you see? What universe do you live in? I don't understand. The films are made as an entertainment. It's not War and Peace. It's about, based on a toy line, aliens that come to Earth and disguise themselves as cars. It's not Shakespeare. So I get...
Wait a second.
What? There is a deeper meaning.
Autobots, fall ye shall transform.
And you know what we should do now? We should do an Autobot Shakespeare version.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends.
So, no, it really frustrates the crap out of you, because Mike, without doubt, is one of the most talented, smart, loyal people I've ever worked with in the industry, and he's given lots of people lots of breaks. So I really get angry when I hear some of the critics now how personal and vitriolic it is. And I can tell you, you know, it is water off a duck's back, but it annoys a lot of people because if they had any clue how difficult it is to get what a $200 million film finished, financed out there, and then get the money back from a world audience, it's very frustrating when you think of all those jobs that are on the line because of this, and the money it's made, which then gets plowed back into other films that Paramount or other companies are making. It's frustrating, but it is what it is, so you just have to take it on the chin and suck it up. Now, guys, about the animated stuff, how do you feel?
I'm not in it. I don't know.
I can tell you my real feelings, but I don't want them going out on the internet, so. I'll just keep quiet.
Well, I didn't know there was a new series.
Yes, and it's called Robots in Disguise.
That's original.
Yeah.
Where did we get that from?
I have no idea.
What a great
So when you see Hasbro referring to Robots in Disguise, they are not referring to the show that they have no part of from 2001. So they are referring to the one that they completely own and control from 2015.
Well, let's hear a big hand for all of our...
Oh, please! Please, on that downer note. Holy God.
Thanks for that, yeah. Go on.
Because since we're at 30 years now of Transformers,
Yeah.
how did you guys feel when you first were part of it?
I'll let you guys go first.
How did we feel when we turned 30?
No. Well, you haven't gotten there yet.
No,
Steven,
I'm
so-
still working on that. At least emotionally.
No. How did you feel when you first got cast? If you can remember back to 2001.
Oh, I squealed like a little pig. I don't have anything to do with Transformers. Is an amazing thing, at least for me. My kids played with Transformers. I sat there with them and played with Transformers, and couldn't put them back together again once I got them out. But yeah, to have anything to do with the franchise was incredibly exciting.
Just to put the rumors to rest, they do not make us transform the toys before we get to work on the show.
It's not a qualification, or we would have failed miserably.
James, how'd you feel?
Oh, I was a fan of the movies. I was just happy to have a job, frankly. It was great to be, you know, part of that universe.
Marky?
Well, it's interesting. I actually didn't see the Transformers cartoons in the UK because I was doing a show called Robin and Sherwood for 3 years. So when they were actually airing, in the UK, I never actually got to see them. But when I actually got the job on the set, which again came about in the most bizarre way because I was recommended in a film called King Arthur with a director called Antoine Fuqua. And I got recommended for this job, went in and ended up getting the job. And to me, to be honest with you, in the back of my head, I was going, how are they ever going to make this work with the visuals, with the CGI? That to me was like, I can't wait to see how they're going to make. And once I started to see what ILM was doing, I went, oh, this is going to change films forever. This CGI, even if you go and see this new one, when you do the dialogue now, they film the actor's face. So when you go look at Lockdown, guess who it looks like? It's bizarre, it's very strange, but it's one of those, it revolutionized the CGI world and what they can do, and so to me, it was one of the greatest challenges. I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this. But, so yeah, no, it's an amazing, like I say, it's just an amazing franchise to be.
I will try to make this as quick as possible. I auditioned for a character by the name of X-Brawn, who was a Southern SUV. And so, in LA,